Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the final game of the third-fourth place playoff. The players are deadlocked. The score is tied at 1-1, which means we go into a deciding game to determine whether or not Caronte's VortiX or Cloud take home that third-place prize money. Let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen, and see which one of these players will take it. Choosing the third color in 3 games. And going to the map that bears his name. Will it prove lucky for the Italian Stallion spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the map in purple? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Cloud. And spawning in the top right position as the yellow Zerg player, one half of the Spanish Armada. A 2-base roach timing, taking out his opponent in game number 2. He's got 1 game to go if he wants to claim that third place. It all comes down to this. It is Caronte Esports VortiX. Alright guys, well this has been a pretty tense series and this will be the last game of this set. So, no room for error here. These players have to really give it their all. What kind of strategies can we expect from these guys this time around? We'll wait and see. The Overlords, of course, already being sent over to their half of the map. And once again, Cloud going with the engineering bay block against VortiX here. And trying to attack the SCV with 2 drones, successfully doing so. A little bit more of the engineering bay gets built than in the last game, important to note. So, VortiX will be able to get the hatchery down, but slightly later than in that last game, especially if the SV goes back and builds a bit more. Cloud just going to be hanging around long enough to see the timing on that spawning pool before going back to the natural to see if he can't try and get a bit more building work done on that engineering bay. And indeed, it looks like the drones are going to be following him around. Gets a little bit more done on it, and okay, the SV is going to be heading home now. So this engineering bay has about 20 seconds of life left on it still. The barracks is going to be popping up now for Cloud as well. And he's just going to be continuing producing these SCVs. I expect him to be expanding after this. See the engineering bay down to about 80 health right now as the spawning pool completes. So we should see a queen immediately get started along with 2 lings for VortiX. The engineering bay is now cancelled and VortiX will be able to put down his natural hatchery. There we go. That's going to go down as well. And the command center has popped down for Cloud. So similar story to both games 1 and 2 so far here on Cloud Kingdom. We can see the 2 Zerglings and VortiX now racing out into the middle of the map to do a little bit of scouting. Just going to see if and where Cloud has some units based. He's not really going to be scouting for proxies or anything like that, because with an engineering bay built so early, those minerals aren't really available, for example, to build a second Rax or even a Rax anywhere on the map. So it's not something that VortiX is going to be particularly afraid of at this moment in time. He sees that there's no expansion down for Cloud though, so he probably wants to make sure that this isn't some sort of one base play. He hasn't seen the command center. He can't be 100% certain that an expansion is going to come down, so he'll really want to verify that as soon as possible. Both gases now being taken inside the main base for VortiX. And the natural is about to pop out, so we should be seeing some drones transferred over here shortly indeed. This Overlord is going to continuously check to see if and when that expansion is going down. The Zergling has retreated all the way to the offensive watchtower. So any troop movements out of the natural expansion ramp will get seen by VortiX. In the meantime, we have the factory down now for Cloud and the reactor popping. So this is just going to be a reactored Hellion expand by the looks of things. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Neutral supply depots are an endangered species in StarCraft 2, and it's because they continuously get poached by these evil Marines that don't actually have license to do so. So that one's going to go down at the moment. We have the bunker being put down on the low ground as well. VortiX will be able to see this and should be able to see some mining, if not the command center itself, shortly indeed. He might have to fly that Overlord a little bit to verify, but it's not difficult to imagine. VortiX now going to be starting up on his creep spread, and we also have a starport follow-up here. And the starport is actually going to be put down next to the barracks, which has a tech lab going down on it. So for the first time, it looks like, in these 3 games, Cloud might be following up with Banshees. Let's see if this ends up being a very, very bog-standard Hellion Banshee opener coming out of Cloud, or if he's going to stick with what he's been doing in the first 2 games and come out with something a little bit different. In the meantime, we have the layer going down now for Cloud. He's taken 2 gases in his main base, and he's taking his 3rd gas at his natural, so he's not going for ultra-quick lots and lots and lots of gas, so he hasn't taken his 4th yet. Double Evo chambers are coming down. So let's see what kind of tech he chooses to go on. Is it going to be Muter again? I don't get the impression it is, because he hasn't taken his 4th gas, and indeed the Roach Warren is going to be popping down now as well behind the mineral line at the natural expansion. 1-1 is also being started from him, so could we be seeing a little bit of a glial reconstitution timing once again? It worked for him in game number 2. Can he make it work for him in game 3? Cloud, in the meantime, though, is going to be taking his 3rd command center over here at the southern position. Has VortiX scouted yet? He has not, but a single Ling should be able to check that out if and when he pleases. And indeed, here comes a Banshee opener out of Cloud, so he will be able to deal with Roaches early on, simply because Roaches can't shoot up, but Banshees conveniently can shoot down. It looks like the Banshee is going to be rallied to the natural. I wonder if that's so Marines can try and pick off this Overlord. Will it be able to move over here in time, though? Let's see. The Overlord should... oh, just barely doesn't spot the Banshee there. And will spot it now, and there we go. The Marines actually in the bunker, able to get a couple of pot shots off, but I think the Overlord will just about be able to move away over here, and we'd have to get the Marines down to this portion of the map. The Overlord will likely be repositioned around this area. Let's see if he can get it killed off in time. 3rd and 4th gas is now being taken by Cloud, and in the meantime, VortiX once again, it looks like Glial Reconstitution and 1-1 for his Roaches are going to be popping up at around the same time, so the same style of strategy that we saw in game number 2 is going for him in game 3 as well. The worker supply is 46 to 44 in favor of Cloud, and Cloud does have mules here as well. Also getting the Raven this game, but he hasn't scouted what VortiX is doing inside his main base. He has 1 Hellion over at the 3rd, and that's it. And VortiX even sending Queens to deal with the Hellion. If the Hellion doesn't survive, there is no chance for him to head in, and he's putting a drone there as if he's expanding at the 3rd. Is he going to? Yes, he is. So the 3rd hatchery is going down, but he still has a lot of Roaches here. An additional 4 popping out. We see 4 Roaches just going to go and take the watchtower. This one is also being held by a Hellion. So is he going to move forward with 1 or 2 Roaches first? No, he's actually moving forward with the entire army. Is he going around the vision? He's trying to go around the vision, but it does just about get spotted, and he's moving towards the natural expansion location rather than the 3rd base, which has already been lifted by Cloud. So is he going to be able to hold here? A lot of SCVs coming out to try and defend the bunker. A Banshee as well. 1 shot, 2 shots, and the bunker is down. VortiX is trying to push in. A lot of SCVs being taken from the mineral line here from Cloud, trying to prevent the Roaches from getting in any further. There's a tank doing a lot of damage on the top, and the Banshee is completely unobstructed, but so many SCVs potentially going down here. An auto turret from the Raven as well, trying to do a bit of damage earlier on in the engagement, and now it's just Marines against the rest of these Roaches. It looks like Cloud will be able to hold, thanks to that huge tank on the high ground doing a lot of damage, and the Banshee as well. Those 1-1 Roaches are forced to move back. The current supplies are 80 to 88 in favor of VortiX, who is up to 60 workers though, in as opposed to 41 from Cloud, because he did lose a large number of SCVs during that attack. So VortiX not able to win with the same push that he did in game number 2, but was able to do some economic damage to his opponent. Let's see if he can follow it up with anything more. 7 kills on this Banshee, but she is simply not able to completely destroy the rest of these Roaches. It looks like she might get another kill. She needs 1 more shot off on this Roach to kill it. 4 hit points at the moment, and the Banshee is doing all she can. In the meantime, the infestation pit is up for VortiX. He's got the first 4 infestors on the way. Pathogen glands over halfway done now, of course, so they will be popping with that upgrade already there. It looks like that weak Roach was picked off, after which the Banshee decided that it really wasn't worth her while anymore. In the meantime, guys, we have another reactor barracks going down in the main, so Cloud looking as though he's going to go very, very heavy bio once again, but he is mixing in a couple of tanks with this composition, so it's not going to be bio only. We have the single Raven and a siege tank for moral support going to be popping down here towards the 3rd base just to secure that. Some Roaches will be picking off the Hellion at the offensive watchtower, and it looks like he's going to try and take down this 3rd base. Now, this siege tank maybe could be sieged slightly closer, maybe something like here, because I feel that the Roaches might be able to get a bit of damage this way. But we have a 2nd siege tank and a whole bunch of Marines here as well. So let's see what VortiX can do. A massive stim from those Marines. A little bit preemptive, though, and there aren't medevacs here to support this Marine army at the moment, so you really want to get those medevacs in. Forcing that stim perhaps wasn't the best from Cloud. Maybe should have just stepped forward a little bit and see if the Roaches were willing to commit. But anyway, overall mission accomplished because he's able to hold the third base. Cloud currently a little bit supply capped there at 129, although 2 supply depots finishing almost instantaneously. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. And a sensor tower is going to go up here as well to notify him of any incoming attacks going into the future. Back in VortiX's side of the world, we can see that the 4th base is now up for him. He has a decent number of Lings and Infestors, as well as a couple of Roaches mixed in. The Lings have 1-2 upgrades, and the Roaches also have 1-2 upgrades, so creating a lot of uniform upgrades, I want to say, for VortiX, not neglecting any of his units at all. We have a Baneling Nest and an Ultralisk Cavern coming out for him as well, and we have +2 melee attack, +3 armor, which of course affects both the Roaches and the Lings, and Adrenal Glands on the way too. So he's going to be able to mix in Banelings into this army. He should have been, there we go, Baneling speed is just about starting for our Zerg player as well. So he's moving up to a composition that he thinks will be able to do very, very well indeed against this fire army. With those fungal growths, with Banelings as well, there's a lot of potential splash damage to be done against Marines here. And it looks like we have a small engagement, but there are too many tanks sieged up, and VortiX is not willing to take this right now. A lot more Banelings being morphed in. This third base completely walled off by the supply depot, and so counterattacks against it aren't going to be terribly effective at this moment in time. We have the tanks sieging up on the high ground, and it looks like VortiX is deciding now might be a good time to move in. The Roach is taking a lot of damage, and here come the Banelings and the Zerglings from the side. Cloud's army looking like it's completely falling apart here. The siege tanks not really sure what to aim at, and the Banelings doing a great job of not hitting anything until he's sure that there's nothing else there, and then blowing up on the siege tanks only after he saw that all the Marines had actually moved back. And this is before Baneling speed pops in as well. So once Baneling speed pops in too, and we mix Ultralisk into this unit composition, the Banelings will become that much more effective. Cloud now moving out towards the left-hand side of the map. It seems that that sensor tower has really dissuaded VortiX from counterattacking on this side, but he seems to be doing okay in his engagements anyway. Sieging up over here. Cloud currently at 148 supply versus the 169 of VortiX. He's currently at 68 versus 85 as far as workers are concerned. That's a lot of workers going down there for VortiX. We have a medevac being loaded up here for a drop from Cloud. Let's see how much damage it's going to do, but it will get spotted straight away by this very, very advanced creep spread. There we go. So the medevac is actually spotted, but at the same time an auto turret trying its best to actually divert his attention. Will it work though? You can see the medevac is actually invisible once again, so maybe VortiX didn't notice that medevac. Maybe he did. We'll find out in just a bit. He's moving into the main base now, into the mineral line. Well, there's the hive, and there's the spore crawler attacking the medevac. He's just going to move back just a bit. Okay, there we go. So the Marines are going to be able to do a bit of damage up in the main base. A small squadron of Lings are sent to try and stop that. A refinery is getting taken down. The spore crawler gets taken down, and the Lings to try and stop this drop from doing any damage. We have a massive engagement over here on the left-hand side though, and VortiX is going to be heading in towards Cloud with a lot of Ultralisk in his arsenal. It looks like there aren't really any Banelings left here. A little bit of energy left on the Infestors used for infested Terrans, and he will just about have enough, I want to say, to clear this up, but it's going to be very close. This Ultra is tanking a lot of damage. The siege tanks though will eventually go down. VortiX currently had 138 supply versus the 124. His upgrades are pretty good. +2 attack and +3 armor. So a total of 5 armor on those Ultralisk with that armor upgrade for them specifically as well. And he's also researching +3 melee attacks now. On the flip side though, we actually have Cloud at the moment with 3 upgrades on the way from his double engineering base. We can see that from his armor he's getting +2 vehicle weapons as well. So his siege tanks will provide that much more fire support. The problem is he needs to try and build up to sort of a 180 supply army and then move out against all of the expansions at once. As it currently stands, VortiX has now taken this southern expansion as well, and is going to be on 5 bases against 3. So Cloud really wants to start shutting down expansions at the same time as he continues maxing out. He hasn't been doing that so far this game, which is why VortiX is in a position where every time Cloud pushes out, it seems like VortiX can just about hold it off, and crucially hold it off without losing any hatcheries. And here comes a potential push here from VortiX. A Marauder getting completely sliced in half there. And the watchtower getting taken by a single Ling. VortiX can see that Cloud has actually moved up to the natural expansion location. Will this prompt him to go into the third? His army is quite quick. I mean, the Lings, for example, could pop into the third base location before any tanks could actually get in here and siege up. But it looks like he's actually going to be heading back for now. He's on 5 bases. He doesn't need to push things too far right now. as long as he can verify his opponent hasn't taken another base. And a Ling at this location, plus a Ling at this location, is a really good indication that Cloud really hasn't done so. So I like this play coming out of VortiX here. A Banshee going to try and harass the drones at this hatchery as much as possible. We'll be able to get a few killed off as well. Don't forget, with the +3 armor, these drones actually take 3 shots from the Banshee to die. So not killing quite as quickly as normal, but still getting a decent number of units there. 14 kills on this Banshee so far, and 1 Marine out of a medevac as well. Playing a violin on the side, that or shooting a rifle, we can't really tell which at this point, is going to be providing support, but it looks like these Lings will get that Marine picked off, and this medevac left without anyone to pop him. We have a massive engagement over here at the 4th base, though. VortiX going to be going in once again against the tank bio composition of Cloud, and it looks like this is getting absolutely crushed. The fungal growths are fantastic out of VortiX and Cloud, dropping to 125 supply versus the 174 of VortiX. Oh, do we have fungal growths on these medevacs? No, we don't. Where are the infestors actually moving back at the moment, but they don't have enough for a fungal anyway. So that would have been a huge win there for VortiX if he was able to do that, but he's currently still ahead by approximately 30 supply. This hatchery's getting low, though, and potentially susceptible to a follow-up drop. So we'll keep an eye on that one. In the meantime, we actually have, I believe, at the natural expansion, there we go, we have a Spire and a Greater Spire morphing in as well, so VortiX will be able to make a very quick transition to Corruptors and Broodlords later on in the game, should he feel it necessary. He's making an additional 7 infestors right now, as well as an absolute metric ton of Banelings and a couple of Ultralisks to bolster the ability of this army to tank damage, and he will be able to do quite a lot. He now has maxed out on his upgrades. He's only got +1 ranged weapons, but he is completely maxed out on his melee upgrades as well. Let's see about Cloud. Cloud is at 332, and he's got +2 attack for his tanks, and with +3 on the way as well. He's doing a reasonably good job of keeping ahead of those upgrades and making sure the damage output of his army is on maximum at all times. +1 flyer attacks now coming in from VortiX as well, with 7 Corruptors incoming. Now they are what's going to clean up these medevacs if we get into an engagement that Cloud doesn't decisively win. So once these medevacs are lost, the bio can't really stim anymore. He needs to be oh so careful potentially with an engagement like this, in Cloud trying to initiate an engagement here. He's actually coming forward, stimming with a small number of units, trying to bait the units onto the ramp. Let's see if he's able to do that. The siege tanks now doing a lot of splash damage, but a lot of infestors coming in as well. And oh god, that fungal growth was brutal. I don't think this attack is going to pay too much dividends from Cloud as he drops once again to 150 supply. VortiX back up to 174 already. There is a follow-up group of units here that are doing a healthy amount of damage, but VortiX definitely took a lot out there. He is currently at 140 supply versus the 170 of VortiX, who is now thinking about pushing in with additional, oh my goodness, with additional infested Terrans as well. Will these tanks go down? It doesn't look like it right now. None of them are sieged up. He needs to be very careful in case VortiX is simply able to push this out, but he is trying to buy time to get a couple of Broodlords out, and it looks like this base is going to be forfeit, but not before we see some Broodlings out on the map. We see the Broodlords slow push against the siege tanks. There is nothing that Cloud can do at this very second other than head back, and the Zerglings come in to try and mop up the siege tanks. Every single tank goes down. That was really well done from VortiX, but the supplies are effectively even. 157 to 160. The work supply is still 77 for VortiX to the 66 of Cloud, and we can actually see mining is somewhat similar at the moment, with just a little bit more gas coming in for VortiX. So let's see what Cloud can do with this transition into Vikings and Thors. He's making Thors 3 at a time at the moment and getting 2 Vikings out simultaneously, but is it going to be done before this 4th base falls? This planetary fortress is going to be absolutely crucial. Simming forward with some Marines, and we have some Lings and Banelings here to attempt to mop up any anti-air. VortiX is doing a decent job, but Cloud is back up to 170 supply. His macro is not bad behind this at all. And the Broodlords are holding station at the moment. A lot of bios going down for Cloud. He can't continuously resupply this quickly, though, and there just aren't enough Marines right now to contest the Broodlords. So VortiX will be able to push forward in this position. Is he going to get that 4th base down, though? We see a medevac drop here. Not really doing anything for Cloud at the moment. Trying to keep an eye on that, but of course, purple, the same color as Creep. Slightly frustrating here, but never mind. And now we see the planetary fortress under siege. Will this go down, or will Cloud find a way to hold on? He has Thors coming out as well. They look pretty beefy indeed, and with +3 attack, they could potentially do a lot of damage. Cloud is just trying to stall for time until his army is ready to engage here. And here we go. We have Marines, we have Vikings, we have Thors. That's a lot of stuff against this Broodlord composition. The Corruptors dive in and immediately take out all of the Vikings, but the Thors are doing a reasonable amount of damage to the Brute Lords. Can they take them out in time? It doesn't look like it. There's nothing repairing these Thors. One of them goes down. The second one is about to go down as well. Another stim in by a bunch of Marines. One of the Brute Lords goes down. A second one goes down as well. But at what cost? The army is melting at the moment for Cloud. He's down to 110 supply. VortiX currently on 138. The Planetary has survived, though. If we take a look at the income, Cloud is currently slightly ahead thanks to that mule drop at the Planetary. But VortiX has taken out a lot of the army. If we take a look at the units lost tab, VortiX has still lost slightly more than Cloud, but has narrowed the gap from a short while ago. And we have the drop now here in this southern base, trying to take out the hatchery. We're going to see transfuses probably on this hatchery very, very soon. There's one, there's two transfuses. Should we see a third and a fourth? There's a third. There's a fourth. Do we have enough for one more? Yes, we have enough for one more, but the hatch is going to go down anyway. 5 transfuses, not going to be enough. Not enough time for that Ultralist to clear up the drop, and it looks like that medevac with only 20 hit points is going to be able to get away. A very, very tense game number 3 here between Cloud and VortiX. Well, this is very much edge of your seat stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, a lot of action going on here on Cloud Kingdom. Neither player, of course, wanting to give up at this point. That hatchery going down is actually a big win for Cloud because he's mining a lot more than VortiX is at the moment. VortiX has to go and get another base, and I wonder if he's going to try and steal this bottom right base from underneath Cloud's nose. I would not be surprised if he did. This Planetary and this base is really making all the difference right now, mining so many minerals, which means that Cloud is able to continue macroing and just continuously resupplying his army even if he's losing engagements against VortiX. And that's really what's been the story of this mid-game so far. He's now actually going back into tank marine style composition. We can see significantly fewer Marauders, a couple of tanks, some landed Vikings here as well. He's going to be moving into the 4th base. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Oh my god, a couple of Banelings completely demolishing that Marine count. Not even funny there. That was actually disgusting. Another group of Marines moving in behind the mineral line, and VortiX says absolutely no can do. This is a great engagement for VortiX, but is it going to be enough? Cloud now down to 120 supply, and there are too many Broodlords here. It looks like the Marines aren't able to clear it up, and for the first time, Cloud dipping below 110 supply in a while, and VortiX now seizes the opportunity to move forward towards the Planetary. He has transfuses from these Queens going forward with these 8 Broodlords. Is it going to be enough? 6 Vikings at a time being produced from Cloud. But there are Corruptors here as well. The Broodlings now at the Planetary trying to wreak as much havoc as he can. And here come the Corruptors. The Vikings aren't out in sufficient numbers to deal with the Corruptors right now. The medevacs could also get taken down too. But the Corruptors don't seem to be particularly interested at this moment. Let's take a look at the reinforcement army. That's a decent squad of Marines right there. And we have the Vikings now coming in, but this Planetary is under a lot of duress right now. The SCVs will be able to repair, but they won't be able to do this forever. VortiX currently at 173 supply to the 116 of Cloud, and here come the Vikings. The battle against the Corruptors starts now. A good fungal growth on some of the Vikings to start up with, and it looks like the Corruptors are still outnumbering them. A great fungal growth on those Marines means that Cloud is now completely defenseless at this 3rd base, save the STVs that are repairing, and a couple of fungal growths from these infestors. Oh, that could be so unbelievably juicy, but it's not going to matter. GG from Cloud, and VortiX, ladies and gentlemen, secures 3rd place at the Vasacast Invitational.